Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is the start of a new series and segment that I want to do. I've explained this if you guys are on like Twitter, on Discord, or even read my YouTube like community messages. It's hard for me to remember to do that, but you guys would have heard of this new thing I was doing called the JXC. So the JXC is it stands for Jag and X Community, but it's kind of lame, but I think the JXC sounds really cool. Basically it's a challenge based kind of event. This was inspired based off the global stream, but basically it's I come up with a challenge, and I'm not quite sure how frequent I want to do this yet, and then people post their heroes according to that challenge. So this week, at least what you're watching right now, will be a lifesteal challenge. I wanted to do this one because it's kind of easily accessible, because the 85 and even sometimes the 71 abyss gear can roll pretty high. So this is like a starting one, and there are no limits to the JXC, so it doesn't have to be gear sets. It could literally be like post your best mage, post your best light elemental hero, post your best like counter set hero, best soul weaver. So it could be broken down to classes and also multiple categories. But for the first week, just to try it out, just to see, you know, how many people submitted or want to submit. I just wanted to try that out. Basically, it's gonna be like a open and closed kind of contest or challenge. So on the week that I open up the challenge, people can submit, and hopefully, you know, they would have like their best showcases, and they would leave their username, in-game name, or if they don't leave their in-game name, I default them to their Discord handle, at least on my server. And we basically go through and talk about it. It's not gonna be, it doesn't have to be like top tier. So if anybody in the future is interested in the JXC submissions, it doesn't have to be top tier. It could be work in progress, but I do hope that people submit with fully enhanced gear. I had a couple submissions that I had to drop because it wasn't fully enhanced gear, so there wasn't much to talk about. It almost felt like they just submitted a random hero because they wanted to have screen time, and I won't allow that. So for people who actually tried, even if it's a work in progress, at least they put some plus 15 gear on. If it's interesting, this is what we're looking at. All right, so that's the format of the JXC. So first things first, what you're looking at here is username is Bits. All right, so this is his Cerato. I know that Cerato does go on lifesteal set pretty often. It can I took this one mainly actually because he has his own necklace, so he's not using just free gear, although we do have a 77 boot there. In terms of a Cerato, I mean this is okay. 68 effectiveness, again from the courtesy of the lifesteal set from the Abyss. I think that that's probably the biggest thing. And almost 3k attack, so high good damage dealer. The HP is actually really good, again I think courtesy of the lifesteal set. 122 speed, and then 221 crit damage. I'm assuming that's a crit damage neck, because you won't get crit damage rolls on any of the left side gear there. So 221 sounds about right, and then probably some crit damage on that boot. So not bad, but I took this one because he actually puts work into it. So again, doesn't have to be like extremely crazy stats, but at least he has his own gear. And then the ring as well. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is Vortex In. So a long time ago, I actually did Vortex's viewer account. Now, me choosing him has nothing to do with the viewer account, because if Vortex is watching this, I'm gonna be toxic, because Vortex at the time actually got a really bad account review because he didn't farm for Isla Violin. When I was trying to set up a Azimatic 11, I think I got to Azimatic 11, but when I was trying to set it up, I literally had to like do it without a Cerato. I think he had Cerato, but he didn't have Isla Violin. I had to come up with a way to beat it without it. I told him it would have been easy, but he actually didn't. He didn't have it. Anyways, it's like double thumbs down for his account review. This Luna I only take because he has a speed boot on, although that is a free one. But he has his own lifesteal chest. In terms of, I think, HP, that's very nice. Hit me a lifesteal, and with her own passive, she would actually do quite a bit of damage. Not the highest though, in my opinion. It's not terrible, but I would say it's definitely on the lower range in terms of damage dealer. If you were to bring this to PvP, now if you actually look at the image closely, there are some particles on the right side here. So it seems that he actually just like equipped it for this showcase. You can actually see that. You can see the particle sparkles. It might not show on the video recording or even on the stream. It's very small particles, so it might be pixelated and artifact. But yeah, he obviously just equipped it just for this showcase. So he did. Yeah, Ahala's like exposed. Yeah, exposed, man. So he might have did it, but I mean, for the sake that he did do it, and if you look at the image on the top there, the pack, this was a free equip event. So the very fact that he has like 63,000 gold and he was willing to maybe swap this for the JXC challenge, all right, Vortex, you get that, you get that. But like I said, I think this could be usable even in some sort of PvP fight where people might not assume that she's like, this is decently fast. This is decently fast without a speed set, and not expect her HP, right? With her passive kicking in, she gets that defense buff, might not be able to kill a one shot, and with some damage mitigation, and the damage is enough to kill off squishies, so that's not bad. All right, so Vortex, you get yours. This next one is ML Ken on lifesteal set. This is Zinx. So Zinx is actually his IGN. I would say though, I mean, he's got the right idea. I think he only has only the weapon there is free. Everything else is crafted and converted. So you tell that he's actually aiming for the lifesteal set on this ML Ken. In terms of damage, I think it's a bit low. I think sub 3.9k is very low for an ML Ken. Of course, I mean, if you're baiting them with some squishies and you don't die, then yeah, you could still kill them with his counter. Almost 15,000 health, that's very good. But a lifesteal set on ML Ken is good, I would say, if his crit chance was a bit higher. Crit chance or attack a bit higher, that would help a lot on that above 50% HP lifesteal. Obviously, he does have Sigurd Scythe. It's not plus 30, so assuming that maybe free to play or just very unlucky with the artifacts, which is fine. I mean, everybody is at their own pace, but in terms of just critiquing the ML Ken in general, the one thing I did miss out though, 71 effect resistance, not bad, and has an immunity set as well. So perhaps that is an effect resistance ring? Think so. She's 60%. Yeah, I think so. So probably has some like good damage substats or something, but yeah, not bad, not bad. But good, yeah, keep it up, Zinx. This one I took just because he has a green neck. Nut God, although all his lifesteal pieces are free, those are the Abyss ones. He has a green necklace. I think one of his comments is like green necklace, green gear for the win or something. And look at that violet pout. He is not max awakened. I would not have taken this one. I do want JXC submissions to be somewhat serious in terms of, I don't want people to just like slap on gear in order to meet the challenge requirements, but I want to see evidence that they are actually using it. This one I take it because it's somewhat meme. For a green neck there, those are not bad stats. 132 speed is actually too slow for a violet. 150 would be like, even on a lifesteal set, would be like bare minimum. 3.7k attack. If he has imprints, that's fairly good. A violet Scorpio Thieves do have high base attack. He really should get that last awakening though. That would give his HP a much more comfortable range. For the dip in his crit damage and his attack, he definitely needs more HP. Moonlight Dream Blaze 36 effectiveness, I think courtesy of the Abyss set. 86 crit rate is good enough. 250 crit damage I think would be the way to go there. I think a lot of his stats are being carried by that 88 weapon, and then plus the fact that he is completing a health set. So yeah, because it's clearly crit damage neck, but attack on the right side. So with high roll on the Abyss set too, 14,000 doesn't seem that bad. You had 6% additional health if he completes that last awakening, but hopefully you do upgrade that Night God. Oh yeah. Wait, Ahala just exposed it too on stream chat. Zero Skystone, he says amazed. Yeah, that's very hard actually. It's very hard to actually hit Zero Skystone, because you literally, like, wow, that's actually really hard. Pretty impressive. Okay, here we go. Now this one I will say though, I'm gonna say this immediately. You guys see some difference in the, for future JXC submissions, please guys try to keep it into like I'm assuming you guys are taking a screenshot from your phones. If you are, please submit the full image size. 1920 by 1080 would be really nice. This one's upscaled to oblivion, to a point where I didn't even want to show this hero. But for people who know me, you guys know I come from a graphics background, so I really do care about this. This is Galeo 23. I think that's his IGN as well. This is a lifesteal carrot. Now I've heard people talk about it before, and I mean there's nothing wrong with this, to be honest. The fact that he actually put in effort in his own boot, in his own necklace, shows me that this has to be one I have to showcase. Now, being a prominent carrot user myself, I will critique it based on a carrot build. Okay, based on a carrot build. But in the sense that she is a lifesteal set, plus she has a flame barrier, and he's using chatty, she might have much higher survivability. I would say my critique here is the speed is good, the attack is actually good. With an attack buff, it will still do good damage. Effectiveness is very solid. The only gripe I have is probably the defense, and the health is slightly lower. And I think that's where he's getting some of the defense from, probably in his own crafted gear, right? Because I don't think the Abyss ring and the chest have defense, not off the top of my head at least. Oh, that's the Abyss neck. Oh, it is the Abyss neck. Sorry, my bad. You're right, it is. Right, so high effectiveness substats in most of the lifesteal gear. Speed is good, and I think that's where he's getting it from. Looks to be trying to guess 43 speed. No, that's not possible. So there has to be an attack boot. Yeah, I would say that's the only thing is, and she's not on immunity set. I feel that all heroes, while their offense or defense should be on immunity set, most of them. I mean, the more I use certain heroes, the more I'm like, oh man, I gotta get immunity set on this one, I gotta get immunity set. But he's got the effectiveness set for that extra effectiveness. For specific fights, I think she's good enough. But again, I chose this one because of lifesteal carrot. I've always heard those theory crafts on it, but I didn't opt for that myself. All right, let's move on. So next one is Holly 16. I will have to say that this is actually a fairly impressive lifesteal set SSB. In terms of damage and effectiveness, it's got competitive stats for an SSB on like a speed set, on a double crit set, immunity set. He does have the 88 chest there purchased, but you can see that he's using 2 of the Abyss gear. Crit damage is 240, but 3,800 attack on this lifesteal set is very good. The defense is not that bad for this kind of damage build, and the health is not terrible. Of course, like if you get like 100 more defense and like 1,000 more HP, that would be like super sweet. Plus maybe like 10 more crit chance. 72 is a bit low, but I think that he is really using the specialty drink. And I mean, I've seen lifesteal set SSBs. They siphon back a lot of health. Sorry, I just had to do a message here. They siphon back a lot of health. 95 effectiveness is actually what I think really tops off this SSB for me in terms of like a high rating one. Again, like I said, the JXC submissions, the purpose for me to select is not because it's really well built, but rather the amount of work you put into meeting that challenge. I would definitely say that this is one of my highest rated heroes in this batch. So really good job, Holly. 95 effectiveness SSBs are very competitive versus like 150 effect resistance Ruel's, 150 effect resistance like Maid Chloe's. You would still be able to land some effective, some debuffs. So that's fantastic. I love this one. Next is Carl Bunkle. So Carl Bunkle, and wait, Jack says, yeah, add a bloodstone and she's immortal. Yeah, if you add a bloodstone to that, that's pretty gnarly. Yeah, that would be really insane. Yeah, Carl Bunkle has this champion Cerato. Again, choosing this one because he has a mix of free abyss, lifesteal set, and his own to form this build. 200 and almost 250 crit damage and 79 effectiveness, very high. It's very good. The health somewhat too low because the defense is also low. So in terms of tankiness aspect, don't think he's got much, but I think he probably use it for some certain offensive fights. With damage mitigation, he should survive. PvE would be a really popular choice with him as well. He's got a 30 violin, 3000 attack. This one will hit pretty hard. It's just, yeah, in terms of if you want to weigh, well, he got 12 effect resistance too. Okay, so he probably got that from his own gear. There's no effect resistance on the lifesteal set, the abyss lifesteal set. Yeah, in terms of damage dealer, this would do quite a bit of damage, assuming that it's a max mola too, but that doesn't matter. Yeah, tankiness I think just a slightly higher, and I would think that would be a very solid Cerato. This is Nero Shock. So Nero Shock's Violet. Again, taking this one because again, just bringing in some interesting stats in this one. 2 of the Abyss lifesteal set on this Violet. The speed, again, my criticism is a bit too low. The health and the defense are both too low in terms of like being an effective lifesteal set Violet. Not being able to get his passive up quick, so you need speed to do that, makes him very vulnerable, especially with the amount of health and defense he has. In my recollection, his S2 self-heal heals based on his max health, but someone could correct me on stream if I'm wrong. But if that is the case, yeah, that more health would be really good too. I do get that damage is important for a lifesteal set. You gotta treat that kind of like a Robbie. What I do find interesting about this one is it's on an immunity set. So for like multi-debuff, like because of his slow speed, for like multi-debuffers, that actually might come in handy. So that he cleanses like two of his own debuffs, but you know, a lot of people bring like crazy debuffers. 220 crit damage is a bit too low, again, like my previous criticism for the other Violet. But otherwise, because he brought in a lifesteal set with immunity set, I find that quite interesting. I do know that a lot of people don't think that Violet needs an immunity set. I have actually ran into a couple RTA fights where it would be really good. For example, like a Lilius. If you do an RTA and a Lilius is chosen and they left your Violet and you chose Violet, I mean, she could provoke that, like 2-turn provoke is enough to like allow your Violet to be murdered. So I kind of like the aspect that immunity set on everyone, and yeah, so you get that extra credit there, Nero Shock, for your immunity set. This is Shaky's Dizzy. Now, he did explain that this Dizzy is for PvE only. But it is interesting that he does have her on a lifesteal set. Realistically, not enough to get the health pack. No crit rate, no crit damage, and then on the S3 it misses. So you're not really going to get much health back, but I think that this probably is just some spare gear. PvE Dizzy doesn't really need to be really crazy unless you're using her in Abyss. So anyways, and Necro and Undine at a +11 there. Yeah, so anyways, again, repeating this, a couple of the JXC submissions, they actually had really promising heroes. I wanted to talk about them, but they were not max enhanced gear. It just showed me that you weren't invested into that character, so I wasn't going to choose that. This ML Ken is from Vinny. Now I did Vinny's account review, but I think he's changed some things. I'm not quite sure. But again, lifesteal set, low crit rate, even lower than the previous ML Ken we looked at. It's got good defense and good health though, so this combination is actually not bad. Again, crit rate is low. If he does get the crit damage, the lifesteal set will do more. If he doesn't get the crit, the lifesteal set won't do much. So I almost feel like I'm still not really convinced of a lifesteal set ML Ken unless I see some insane stats. And mostly I would say the crit chance needs to be higher for ML Kens on lifesteal. But anyway, 28 effectiveness, 115 speed, almost at base speed. That's actually impressive in and of itself. But you can see that all 4 pieces of his lifesteal set are actually like crafted. They're not free. So Vinny was going for something very, very specific, and I know there were some fights that he actually did tell me like it comes in handy, and I don't doubt him, but I feel that in this case the crit rate is too low for a lifesteal set. Immunity, of course, and he got an 88 boot, so he got a lot of stats from that. But in terms of tankiness, that's very solid. 1200 defense with about 15,000 HP. Oh, I just realized he doesn't have a full Cigar Scythe either. So I mean that can give a bit more base stats. Maybe pop it just closer to that 15,000 HP, and a bit more attack. Again, I think a 3.9 is like bare minimum on an ML Ken for me. I do prefer like 4K plus ML Kens, especially with Cigar Scythe. But anyways, okay, so then the last one, okay, yeah. So my promise for the JXC is that I'll choose 10 submissions. If there is more than 10, I would have to pick and choose one random one. 10 man 22, he is my random pick. Again, doing this because again this Violet actually has the speed to merit the low health and the defense. So in I mean I'm not really comparing like everyone's builds against each other, but using it as a reference point for maybe newer players. 188 speed is a lot better. If you could get that passive off early, then that kind of merits the lower HP. The defense on 10 man's Violet is actually decent, although I would say that 1000 defense is like 900 plus defense would be really good on a Violet. Again, evasion plus high defense means that he will take even less damage on a miss, so that's really good. Of course, Violet is very stat hungry, and on a lifesteal set, this is the argument for people not running lifesteal set Violets, is that you're going to be missing out on too many stats. Therefore, speed set Violets are like kind of like the go-to now, plus the fact that you have the arena speed gear, and you have the T88 Hell Raid weapon for the speed, so you got a lot of stats from those. So I can understand the argument. I've seen a lot of lifesteal Violets. I myself used to run one too, and it is very hard to get. But in terms of I think this one, his own ring, his own helmet, his own boot, so he knows what he wants to do. Crit damage is slightly lower, but for like, let's say you bring a Violet into a Dizzy fight, I mean this will do the job, right? So not bad there. Yeah, attack is a bit slightly too low. In terms of let's say if he were to use this Violet on a defense comp versus someone like Crow, he doesn't do enough damage to Crow, and Crow will easily potentially easily one-shot him with the S3. So that's my thoughts on that, but otherwise it's not bad. It's got the right idea though. I think the HP defense low, speed needs to be high. Okay, and then the last one, this is one of my patrons. So I always promise this, for a patron, people supporting me on Patreon, they get the patron's corner, so they will get a submission in. So this is Hippie 1313s. This one, again, don't want to compare directly, but very similar to Tan Man's. And again, the lifesteal set is what is very, like, it's taking away too much from the stats needed. So obviously right there he has a speed boot using the Abyss helmet and the Abyss ring. So you got speed in there regardless of how much speed he's actually rolled. He has speed in there, so that base speed will really help jack up that overall speed. And then he has his own crafted or dropped necklace and weapon, so that's okay. Crit rate is very, very solid. The attack is slightly low, and then the crit damage is slightly low as well. Effectiveness is 48 for the attack down. I would definitely say that effectiveness shouldn't be a very main priority on Violet. I think and he has effective resistance rolls in there too, so by no means perfect substatted gear unless he's actually going for the effect resistance. But yeah, I think a really good Violet is too hungry for other stats. That effectiveness, I'm most likely assuming that it's getting it from the Abyss set. It's not needed, although I will say that because Violet's attack down proc rate on the S1 is very high, getting effectiveness on it is not terrible. I used to think that a high effectiveness Violets are actually really good in terms of like 50 or so effectiveness. But I think based on the opponents you would fight with a Violet, the attack down is a nice to have but not a must have. Anyways, but that's it. That's all that's all of the JXC submissions for this week's JXC, the lifesteal set challenge. So thank you for everyone that's actually submitted. Again, I know, like I said, I missed for specific reasons. Either you were outside of the submission count or you didn't have max enhanced gear. It again just showed me you weren't dedicated to the cause. So for those who actually put in the work and submitted, again, thank you guys. And for everyone's submissions, I'm gonna end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.